Now, this series is created by Robert Kirkman. It's starring Stephen Yeun, Sandra Oh, and J.K. Simmons. And it recently just premiered with the first episode after being away for over 2 years now. I know we've been eagerly
Wow.
anticipating Invincible to return. We did, in fact, talk about the season one finale a couple of years ago when it aired because it was just wild shit. But Invincible is also based off of a comic book from Image, while The Boys is based off of Wildstorm. Invincible comes from Image, but this is another adaptation that Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen got their hands on, along with Robert Kirkman, who also wrote the comics, to bring this animated series to life. And that first season received critical acclaim from pretty much everybody. I know we both loved it. It was a breath of fresh air, especially in the midst of COVID when we weren't getting shit. Like nothing was coming
Yeah.
out. And here comes
Mhm.
Invincible, like, wow, what is this whole new world that I don't know anything about? And so we've been eagerly anticipating season two, and it's finally returning here. We're gonna get the first 4 episodes over the next few weeks, and then they'll go on a hiatus. And then in sometime in 2024, they'll release the second half of the season, the next 4 episodes. And so they're going to drip this out over the course of the next few months. But this is a big story. This is a long story. If you know anything about the comics, Invincible goes on for quite a while. So there's a lot to tell here.
Yeah, there's a lot.
We won't dive into real specific stuff. I think we'll talk about some high level themes with where
Mhm.
season one left us off with to what may come in season two. But just generally, man, how did you feel about this season two premiere of Invincible, especially after waiting over 2 years for it?
Oh, man, it was absolutely great. Again, this just was to end this all off, man, this was just a night of superhero television. I'm pretty sure, again, this we should write this date down. Thursday, November the 2nd, 2023, man, was 3 out of 3. Like, we were really eating across the board, and Invincible is of no exception here, man, to bring in this amazing TV show. Again, the remnants of the end of season 1 immediately bleed into the beginning of this premiere episode, and you feel it all, man. You feel everything that has happened between Mark and his dad. You feel the imprint of the Chicago shoot massacre that happened as well, within Mark and everything that Omni-Man had going on. The destruction left behind is crazy. Very, very small spoiler here, but the newscaster says something like, there has been destruction, but some people have begun to heal, and given kind of the moment that everyone is kind of feeling at the beginning of this episode of Invincible. And so yeah, it's just a very interesting way to do this. The first 10 minutes, I won't get into spoilers about that, but they're a fire. I thought the first 10 minutes were absolutely exceptional, of what they did in this episode, again, to lead us to be like, what the hell is going on here? It all plays off by the end of it. You understand exactly what's happening. But wow, I think the structure in which I think they attacked this episode and the way it was going to look was so very well done. I did not see it coming. I don't know why. Of course, it's Invincible. It was already subverting expectations, but I did not see the way that they would do this episode. I didn't think we'll go down this path, but I'm very, very happy to say Invincible is back. I'm very excited for what's to come. I think they're still on to something. I don't think Invincible is going to lose any footing anytime soon. This is different. I mean, I kind of told you The Boys like doesn't have, like, the source material is good, but it's not the best. You know what I'm saying? Invincible is fire. Like, the comic is fire. So I know there's a ton that's going to come out of this, man. And they change things in Invincible too, as they do The Boys, but I think Invincible has a lot up its sleeve. But yeah, I think they have it, man, and I think this was another hit for the night. Invincible is what I ended my night with, and again, I'm very happy I did.
I should have asked you that. How did you watch out the episodes? I started with Invincible, and then I did Loki, and then I did Gen V last. I'm actually really satisfied I did it that way because it felt like Gen
Hmm.
V was, obviously concluding, and that felt like it had a sense of finality
Hmm.
to it. But no, I totally agree. I think that this was a great return to form, especially after waiting for so long. We have been just like yearning for this show to come back because season one was so good, and there were so many just shocking moments. And I rewatched season one, before this came back, and I was like, wow, this still really holds up. It's still super enjoyable, even though I know what was coming, because some of the stuff that they just do from a graphic standpoint, from just like
Hmm.
the adult oriented nature of it, and just the gruesomeness of some of the scenes, it's just like it's really shocking stuff. They can get away with a lot of this in animation that you just can't necessarily achieve in live action, but because like Invincible is such a massive story and there's so many places you can go, I think the time that they took in between seasons is deserved and it's needed because the scope of everything that's about to come is about to increase so tremendously and things are about to be a lot more cosmic with a lot more other things at play. Like it's definitely needed that time. And I think Kirkman said that, that break in between 1 and 2 is going to be the longest break that we ever experience. Like it won't ever be like a 2+ year gap moving ahead. And I hope that's the case. But coming back here, man, they did what they needed to do to reestablish, what's going on here, especially with Mark, and all the fallout and the aftermath of what happened with him and his father in the events of season 1. But then also his mother too, and just like how she's dealing with it and how she's coping with it. I mean,
Mhm.
she's clearly upset by the events of what occurred. If you saw the season 1 finale, Omni Man called her a pet, like he loved her like a
Ooh,
pet, and that comes back
crazy.
into play. And it's like, yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Well, how could you think like that? And so they absolutely, call back to those things and do it in a really, really, really great way. And I think one of the biggest strengths about Invincible is the ensemble cast. There's a lot of characters here that you grow to
Mhm.
care about. There's a lot of really interesting people, and they also still introduce new people, here as well. And there's, some things that point to what may come in the rest of the season in terms of who's a villain, who's a hero, who's an anti-hero, who might have their own personal motives and they're not necessarily falling on one particular side. But a lot of stuff that they can, really have up their arsenal that they can utilize in this upcoming season. So I'm excited for this first half. I can't wait to see, what the rest of it looks like. We'll definitely come back, I think, once it concludes in a few weeks and talk about
Mhm.
the 4 episodes as a whole and where it leaves us off before we get the second half. But I do just want to ask you generally, before we wrap up, just like with what they pointed to in this first episode, there is a new character that they introduce in this premiere, Angstrom Levy, who's voiced by Sterling K. Brown. It appears he's
Yeah.
going to have a big prominent sort of presence in the season. There's also, without getting too deep into it, there are some multiversal implications, and so we are
Mhm.
leaning into the multiverse, again with another comic book universe here. That seems to be something that they will heavily rely on in the storytelling, especially as you said, those first 10 minutes kind of point
Mhm.
to what that might look like. So, what do you anticipate, based on, possibly knowledge of the comics and just, your overall hopes about Invincible, where they might go with this new character Angstrom, with the other characters, and, really the story between Mark and Omni Man and how they, sort of bring that to life over the course of this season?
Man, pandemonium. Invincible is it's one of those properties, even as you've seen from season 1, is that it really is a comic book of shit hitting the fan like constantly. And what I love about this episode actually is how quiet it actually seemingly is and how good they do of just setup. This really is like a really good character driven setup episode. And I think Angstrom, again, Sterling K. Brown, I think he's doing tremendous work here because they even kind of make Angstrom look like him a little bit. It's kind of interesting. I was looking like, huh, you sound and kind of look like him a little bit. I was like, oh, you do like Sterling K. Brown, but he is I think they've set it up. They've set up somebody who is made to be um that you don't root completely against, if that makes sense. Almost in the same vein as Thanos, right? Thanos, although of course he's the big villain, the reasoning for him makes sense. The things that he is trying to do make sense. I think they've set that up in what they're doing with Kane Brown's Angstrom, man, and I think there will be more than one Angstrom in terms of a villain, and not one Angstrom as more than one of him, but more than one. I think more than one villain in the season. That's what I'm looking forward to. I was like, oh, we might have one. Can there be another? Is there another villain we could potentially set up? I think that might be the case as well. But again, I'm just looking for shit to hit the fan. Invincible is usually a lot going down. I think these first 4 episodes will be, shoot, to be honest, the end of this episode was already a lot. I was like, damn, there's a lot happening here, but there's way more to be done, and there's way more to be shown to us as viewers. So all of I'm hoping is that, again, a lot of that stuff comes true. I hope they continue to change stuff a little bit from the comics while maintaining some of the stuff that we know on the TV show, and just stay true to themselves, because Robert Kirkman is a beast, to be honest, and everything he has, the source material is a beast. And the way they're writing the show is really good right now. So I think they still have some magic on their hands. I just hope they continue down the path of greatness, man, because Invincible already has it. They just need to keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah, shit's gonna get crazy. It's gonna get so crazy. I mean, we've only scratched the surface of what's capable in this story because of where things go. I mean, there's so many different factions, so many different, people to mistrust in this whole thing. I mean, there's armies being created, there's robots, there's multiverses, there's extraterrestrial empires. I mean, the Viltrum Empire is obviously sort of at the center of all this. Obviously, we still have to see Nolan,
Hmm.
Grayson, Omni Man, sort of be a presence in the season in a real, I think, significant way. So I'm super excited for Angstrom and his presence because you don't necessarily know how to root for him or if you should root for him because
Hmm.
he does seemingly fall in the middle of things. But Mark and the journey he's gonna go on. I mean, he's gonna go on so many different adventures and what could Angstrom look like in terms of an ally? Would be an interesting way to
Hmm.
explore that and possibly how they sort of leverage each other and just the information and the knowledge that Mark is continuously getting about this vast universe that he's a part of. It's going to be very crucial for how he tackles some of the immediate next steps that's going to come from this. And so it's all pointing to some very, very promising stories that I think is going to come, especially in these first 4 episodes, the rest of the season, and then for future seasons to come because they have no shortage of materials. So we would definitely be on hand to see. But folks, with all of that said, those are all of our thoughts on the season 2 premiere of Invincible. If you've checked out the return of season 2 on Prime Video, definitely hit us up and let us know what you think.